Domestic work, tasks performed in the home of another, is work, plain and simple. Domestic workers take care of the chores that many of us working outside the home don't want to do. In fact, domestic work provides jobs for more than 52 million women and men worldwide. If we can ensure these jobs are decent, then domestic work can be a valuable source of employment. Unfortunately, many people don't recognize that domestic workers are indeed workers. Some see them as servants, or, in more extreme cases, slaves. Even governments view domestic workers in a different light to that of other workers, often excluding them from entitlements that other workers take for granted. A lack of legal protection makes them more vulnerable to abuse. This young woman suffered a fractured skull, while this woman was forced into domestic servitude since childhood. Her scars bear testimony to years of physical abuse.
They kick me. They whip me with an electrical cord nearly every day.
This woman tells how she came to live at a teacher's house, yet she too faces exploitation.
Nagigising po ako ng madaling araw, 3:00, naglalaban ng 3 basket na labahan. Tapos matulog ako gabi na, tapos hindi pa ako makapag-assignment kasi pinapatay na ako ng ilaw. Ngayon po, mahirap kasi pagdating ko sa bahay, hindi po ako makakain kasi tinatago po yung bigas. Tapos sa umaga po, hindi nila ako sinasabay kumain. Tapos yung pagkain nun sa umaga is yung pan lang po. Tapos pasok na, tapos may nalagaan pa ako 2 bata. Hinahatid ko pa, pinapaliguan, lahat ng papagawa sa akin ginawa ko.
While many employers treat their domestic workers with decency, it's clear that without legislation, domestic workers have no protection if things go wrong. The adoption of the Domestic Workers Convention, C-189, was an historic step because it formally recognized that domestic workers are workers, not servants. The Philippines ratified C-189 in September 2012.
The convention now will bring to the fore the need to recognize that domestic work is work and that the rights of domestic workers are human rights, and that governments, employers, and workers should come together to recognize and at the same time implement the standards that are in accordance with these rights.
The convention clearly states that domestic workers should receive fair wages, set working hours, days off, and the types of social protection other workers have come to expect. Here in Asia and the Pacific, like elsewhere, it's time to end the gender stereotyping and recognize the value and importance of domestic workers. After all, they care for our families and look after our children. Increasingly, our region is seeing better recognition and improved labor standards. Here in Hong Kong, domestic workers are becoming organized and demanding their rights, and it's paid off for them.
คิดว่าในฮ่องกงนี้เป็นองค์กรเดียวที่สามารถรวมตัวแรงงานบ้านให้เป็นฟรีชั่นได้ค่ะคิดว่าแรงที่ผลักดันสำคัญในการที่จะให้รัฐบาลฮ่องกงเปลี่ยนแปลงกฎหมายหรือว่าเปลี่ยนแปลงสถานการณ์ของแรงงานบ้านให้ดีขึ้นคิดว่าแรงผลักดันของจุดนี้จะเป็นผลมากแล้ว
While these domestic workers in Hong Kong are now guaranteed a minimum wage by law, they say more needs to be done to make them equal with workers in other sectors. Man Lo Yung is a native of Hong Kong. She's been a domestic worker for 8 years and has other concerns.
點解？你即係有咩意外發生，佢就可以傾保險，但係你做咁耐咧，會勞損得好犀利噶嘛，但係勞損嗰度就保障唔到。
Domestic workers in Thailand are also organizing. More than 150 women come together regularly to share their stories and support each other through difficulties. Across the region, several steps are being taken by some governments to make domestic work decent work. But more needs to be done to better recognize and reward domestic workers for their labor. Elizabeth Tang is a global advocate for domestic workers.
So we feel quite enthusiastic to see such move, and we hope the governments will move quicker so that the domestic workers who have always been deprived of these protections will soon be working like all the other workers.
Recognizing the value of domestic workers, their right to a fair wage, allowing them time to rest, and reasonable hours of work are the most pressing needs. With political will, those needs can be met.